Good that you're watching to the video on demand of a new type of stream that I want to do here every Monday, where we go over the latest gaming news. As discussed in the Sunday video, there will be some new stuff. I want to hear your opinions, and then we kind of go over it. Double checking, but yeah, we're live. So thanks everyone for joining, and sorry I put the wrong time in the stream initially, and yeah, luckily I figured it out later, but then everyone was like, huh, has something happened? No, nothing happened. I was just, when I put the time in yesterday and Sunday, wasn't thinking straight, probably. That's probably what it is. Dajak, thanks for joining here. You are indeed the first there in the Twitch chat. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. I have been thinking about this sort of stream for a long time. We did one last week, of course, where we unboxed the PS5 Pro, and then after that we also continued and talked about some news. So that's kind of the idea here. I now have discussing the latest gaming news in the title. Last time I had the different types of topics, so I will be experimenting, of course, and the idea is also that if you did not watch live, want to watch these want to watch the different topics later, there will be timestamps so you can scroll, or I will post these also separately on the Jorraptor React channel that I want to be more active on, where we can like kind of go more in depth on the news, because what we're really doing with the Sunday video is make sure that I give you as much information in a relatively short time, so we can kind of go through the news and all the highlights very quickly, while in this type of stream I think we can go a little bit deeper, and then yeah, I want to hear from you. What do you think? And then we can kind of discuss it from here. And of course, if you have questions, then hey, shoot them in the chat. So thanks everyone for joining here. Blazing Flame, good to see you. Sadra, thanks for waiting. I know you were there with the previous time. Appreciate everyone sticking around. So let's see. We have some people asking about the PS5 Pro. I will be... we have like a specific PS5 Pro topic later on in the stream as well. So stick around for that. I first want to go over some other Sony news that I think is interesting. And thanks, yeah, all for being here. That's cool to see. Like, the idea is to do this every Monday. There will be a time where I'm not here, so then we will be on a kind of a break. But yeah, the idea is to be here every Monday. I do think there will be a Christmas sort of day in between, but we will see. We will see. Like maybe I try to do it every Monday as much as I can this year, but then next year I want to hit that, of course, every time, like we're doing with the Assassin's Creed podcast, of course, on Wednesday, and as we're trying to do with the podcast I do with Luke Stevens, the Free Roam Show, of course, on his live channel. So let's immediately jump into it. Of course, if you have any questions, save them for now, and of course, if they make sense for the different topics, then I will insert them. And at the end of the stream, I will do a sort of overall Q&A for like 15 minutes or something. And then we can kind of rapid fire some questions if you have any. Because I want to start today with the following. Let's go over here. And then we see... So, Sony had their investor call and they said some interesting things. One of them is that they plan to continue releasing major single-player games, game titles every year, from the next financial year onwards. And next financial year begins on April 1st, 2025. And yeah, we already know about Death Stranding 2 and Ghost of Yotei for 2025. Like, they already said previously that we would not get a big AAA Sony exclusive single player game before April. So yeah, that means Ghost of Yotei and Death Stranding are later. Death Stranding seems to be further along from what we hear Kojima talk about. So I think that one is probably before Ghost of Yotei, but we will have to wait and see, of course, how it shakes out. But basically what they're saying here is, from now on, we should expect every year at least multiple AAA games, because that has been kind of the thing, of course, what we've been seeing. Like, this year in particular, we have not seen the big games. Like, we saw Astro Bot, of course, as kind of the real PlayStation exclusive where you buy the console for, of course. Concord, of course, came and went. Helldivers 2 was nice. Yeah, that was a nice surprise. But that's, yeah, not for the people like me, and you probably watching as well, who wants just a cool story, linear open world, and then kind of the Ghost of Yotes, the God of Wars, the Spider-Mans. We just did not have that this year. But they are promising starting April 1st next year, so that every 12-month period, we should get multiple of those. So I think it will be interesting to see what those games probably are. So let's talk about that. An extra interesting wrinkle about this is the fact that earlier in May of this year, it was already noted that we plan to have at least one tentpole single-player launch during the holiday season. So in the October, November, early December window. So yeah, then I think we can kind of already piece together that Ghost of Yote is likely that title for next year, unless they have a surprise announcement. We talked last week about Wolverine, where that game changed, of course, directors. So I don't think that game is next year. They probably need more time. The Insomniac League also hinted at 2026. So I would be shocked actually if we get another big single player game in the 12-month period starting in April. But of course, we'll have to wait and see. Sadra's asking, when would Horizon 3 come out? Like, we know that Guerrilla Games is working on the Horizon online game first. And I actually follow a lot of people, a lot of like developers on Twitter, and sometimes I LinkedIn stalk them as well. And it really seems, and that's also interesting, if we go, by the way, here, and that's, by the way, another sort of interesting thing that I found recently. You really see also on their page here, everything is almost for the online project. Whoa, they have like multiple online project. Like their core focus right now is the online project, and they even have like a central team. So I don't think that even means that you're solely working on Horizon 3. You're working on everything Guerrilla Games that they're doing at the moment. So unless, yeah, they don't want to like put single player team in there, but that's interesting, right? I do think central team means right now, hey, the people at the online team need more help, go work there. If the people at the if the single player team needs more help, you can kind of go there. But yeah, you really see that right now the online project is really their focus. So they're like, even single player games developers are working on that. So I really think Horizon 3 is like, if we even see it at the end of this PS5 lifecycle, I would be shocked. I think it's like first year PS6, but then of course still launching on PS5. And I think this one is very interesting as well. And then we kind of lead in nicely into the next part of this Sony news, before I bring in some other comments from people as well. The release QA intern, okay? So I think this one is interesting if we like kind of do it like this. What are you going to do here? We're a passionate team of creators, okay, blah, blah, blah. Guerrilla QA team is an integral part of the development project. We collaborate closely with key stakeholders to upstream quality of projects enjoyed by millions of players worldwide. On a daily basis, we prove that game testing is not merely a stepping stone into the industry, but a professional discipline deserving of a dedicated career path. As an intern on the release QA team, you will acquire both theoretical knowledge and practical experience to ensure the game is prepared for launch. Again, this is a release QA intern for the online team. So this tells me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the online game is gonna launch next year, right? If you need, because I think this probably starts in here, available for an internship during the first half of 2025. I really think this means that the online project is in that first half of 2025. Or at least that they are preparing it. Like, this person is gonna test this game extensively in that first half to probably have it ready maybe a little later. So Game Awards, December 12th. Finally, will we see the Horizon Online game? Of course, this week the Lego Horizon game is coming. And then we don't know anything. So, of course, at one point hey, Lego Horizon is announced. The remaster is out. We now, starting next week, we will have moved past that. So then it's time to look at the online game. And again, I think that's gonna happen. And we might see that very, very soon. Because, of course, next to the fact that, again, they are saying, hey, we will have major single-player titles every year from next financial year onwards, it doesn't mean that they're stopping with the live service games. Like, that's what we kind of see here as well. So they reflected on why Concord failed, of course. They now launched 2 live service games. And yeah, we have Helldivers 2, huge success, and Concord. So I kind of talked about this in the Sunday video as well. And basically, so for us, for our reflection, we probably need to have a lot of gates, including user testing or internal evaluation, and the timing of such gates. And then we need to bring them forward. We should have done those gates much earlier than we did. Basically, as I said in the Sunday video as well, they want to announce the game earlier, get feedback earlier in the development. Because when Concord was like revealed, they already had everything set in stone. That beta was not for testing, that was just a demo. Because they were selling pre-orders and then you could get early access to the beta. Like, they of course did include some things. I think it's still wild that was not in the game at launch. Like, if you would leave a game, you would not get a penalty when playing the Concord beta. I don't know how that got into the final product. But yeah, they did add that into the final game. But yeah, you want way more of these playtests. Like, the moment you open the floodgates and have way more players join, you of course get way more valuable feedback than if you only test it inside your own studio. So we will see how that, maybe that also means that we will be able to test the Horizon Online product next year as well. That would be kind of cool, of course, before they dedicate themselves to like a big launch date. But yeah, then they're basically saying, going forward in our own titles and in third-party titles, we do have this is like more talking about. They say also basically in this quote, we have to look at the release timing in regards to Concord, but I really think that no matter when they release that game, even if it was like in the most quiet January period, it would still have done very poorly, of course, for them. But yeah, here, like they said, we've launched 2 live service games this year. Helldivers 2 was a huge hit, while Concord ended up being shut down. We gained a lot of experience and learned from both of them. So basically, we intend to build on an optimum title portfolio during the current mid-range plan. Again, it's very investor call talk. Period, that combines single-player games, which are our strengths, and have a higher predictability of becoming hits due to our proven IP, with live service games that purpose upside while taking on a certain amount of risk upon release. Like we said last week as well, Rainbow Six Siege made $10 billion actually $3.5 billion, still a lot, in 10 years. And it will continue. Like, they will easily go reach the... Before that game completely dies down, Ubisoft will have made a ton of money from that game. Sony just wants one of those. That would be great for them. And they will keep trying. So that is kind of the future of Sony. Here they also hit the 65 million mark with the PS5. Slightly behind the PS4 during the same period. But yeah, PS4 had price drops. Pro was already out for a year. So I think PS5 is still, of course, doing pretty well. But as I also said in the Sunday video, and I think that's kind of cool, and I want to bring you in as well, it's kind of the sort of situation that we're in right now in the halfway point of the generation, where, and we had a comment that actually had quite some upvotes that I want to bring up here. Let's see if I can do it like this. There we go. And if I like, oh, this is not the one. This one. Sony is really going to have to deliver in the years to come, because this year was a real eye-opener on what happens when you have too much leeway with fans. And then maybe you're like, what the heck does this mean? Well, this is like the part 2 of that. This era has been extremely lackluster between cross-gen titles and lousy exclusives. It is clear that Sony was not truly prepared to make the move from PS4 to PS5, and all the investor call things that we just discussed are kind of a reaction to that, of course. Like, they're saying, moving forward, we will have multiple big single-player games. Don't worry. And of course, yeah, they know that that it was kind of lacking this year. Although Stellar Blade was great. I did not like Rise of the Ronin. I know some people liked it, but yeah, that was kind of a miss for me. Concord, of course, a miss. Helldivers was great. And Astrobot was pretty great too. And then we have the Horizon remaster. And we, of course, also have the Lego Horizon games still to come. So, but yeah, all of them are small. They're not like Ghost of Yotei will sell more in a week than Lego Horizon, Astrobot, and Stellar Blade combined. So to give you an idea of how big that kind of is. So before I look at the chat and want to insert one of your questions, I think this one is interesting too. Ellie, your 2 questions. Will we get a Days Gone remastered, and when, if you know? And what is Santa Monica Studio currently working on? Is it the Atreus spin-off, or is it not in development? So I think this one is interesting because then we can kind of look at what that future kind of looks like. And of course, if you have anything, like basically let's kind of build, I think that will be kind of fun, build the PS5 generation for as far as we know right now till the end, right? So the Days Gone remaster is totally gonna happen. Like that was leaked. It was leaked before a State of Play, and then it did not show up in the State of Play, so everyone was like, huh? Where is it? Well, it just wasn't going to be at the State of Play. That was never part of the leak. And having Horizon remaster and Days Gone remaster in the State of Play, not a really good idea. So I totally think that, I think last year we had a January State of Play, for example. I would not be surprised if Days Gone shows up there. That would make sense to me. And that we see it before their financial year is over, so before April. Maybe like March, I think that would be perfect for that. And yeah, the big $1 million question, of course, what is Santa Monica currently working on? Yeah, it's God of War related. We do know they're, of course, doing that, but we also know Cory Barlog, basically the mastermind behind the reboot, of course, is also doing something at Santa Monica. So they have multiple things in the works. Like the whole Atreus thing, I still think, like, they have very clearly said recently that the Atreus thing is, or that Ragnarok is the final game in the Norse saga. But I'm just then really curious what they will do with sort of the ending of Ragnarok, where they totally tease a sort of adventure for Atreus that he still kind of has to do in the Norse saga. So I'm curious how they're gonna do that. But to be fair, like, if Atreus, so, I don't know. We of course, sometimes you think, okay, Sony is gonna do more of this. Like we saw Lost Legacy, we saw Miles Morales, and they said both of them were successful. At least Miles Morales was really successful. So you would think, okay, Sony is looking, because we're kind of getting, these games take way longer. They want to have something in between the big titles. So you would think a Miles Morales is like a great, like, after 2 years. If we had Spider-Man 1 and then had to wait till 2023 for Spider-Man 2, that was like the wait. Without Miles Morales, that would suck. And it of course can happen. Like, that's why I like the Icky Island DLC for Ghost 2, the Burning Shores for Horizon. Have something for these games before we have to wait for many years for the next one. And I just don't know if we will see a new God of War before the end of the PS5 lifecycle. I don't think so. I think it's Corey's game first, so his new IP. So I would not be So I think if you want to release still a God of War game during the PS5 generation, then it makes more sense to look at an Atreus game. And I also think it's smart for them to look beyond Kratos. I mean, Kratos is, of course, yeah, totally the most important character for the franchise. But I do think the series can maybe reach above that. Like, yeah, because Horizon is also more than Aloy. It is the robo dinosaurs and all these, like, the world is just very appealing. The Last of Us, of course, has multiple, like, characters as well. Although, yeah, you could argue that, of course, Joel and Ellie are still the big ones there. But I do think that it will be smart of them to explore, and they did a really great job of setting up some really important characters in Ragnarok, to give them their own spot in the spotlight. And in the Atreus game, where he gets like really cool powers, get like to use an actual weapon instead of the bow, I think could be really cool. And then you can see, do people want this, or do they just want Kratos, right? Maybe he traveled to another mythology. Yeah, that's possible. And to be fair, like an Atreus game where he's suddenly stuck in a different mythology, that would appeal, I think, instantly to way more people. So maybe they were like, we can go the what people expect of us route, where we stay in the Norse mythology. He goes and does what he has to do, of course, at the end of Ragnarok, without spoiling too much. Then, yeah, that would still be an interesting game, but you kind of know what you're getting into, I think. Well, if they go the extra mile, and instead of for us having to wait till the third new God of War game, we already, with Atreus, get to experience what a different mythology would be like. I think that could push more people over the edge who maybe after playing Ragnarok were like, what, a game where I only play Atreus, which was my least favorite part? That's not for me. So yeah, I think it's interesting. Your hates Atreus, so no. I think I actually like the Atreus parts quite a lot, to be fair. I like the Atreus parts quite a lot. The Art of Interactive Entertainment is saying, is Corey working on a new IP? He said he was not involved with Ragnarok as much as you would think from a director still being at Santa Monica. Yeah, like, if he was still hardcore working on God of War, why would he not be on Ragnarok, right? So I think he also, during interviews after God of War 2018, really, like, was like, I want to make something of that is completely mine. Like, he came in to God of War with a clear vision for what the reboot would be, but he still had these, yeah, he could not go completely crazy because it was still something that was already created that he just, yeah, made modern for a modern audience. So I think it's interesting, but I would be shocked if it's not a new IP. And I think while I'm happy that we get the Horizon 3, Spider-Man 3, Ghost of Yotei, and a new God of War, like, we never got Ghost of Tsushima or Horizon if they did not try something new. And so far, like, that is my complaint, air quotes, with this generation. It's not that I don't think we don't have the triple A or quadruple A quality games. Like a game like God of War Ragnarok only happens so many times in a decade, but it's still familiar. And so like the PS4 generation, I think looking back, was super exciting because we had these new IPs that were all awesome, that all hit on an insane level. If you look at the PS5 generation, it has been very safe. And that's fine. But I hope that if we, in 5 years, look back at this generation, we still see that Sony built some completely new franchise from the ground up. We just haven't seen that this gen. Like, Celebrate is not owned by them. And while I like the game, it's not on the same level as the other titles. So, I don't know. I just want to see Corey's next game. And of course, that's another one we will see this generation. Naughty Dog's new IP. Like, I'm super excited for that. They have been talking about that it's more open world, or that they want to give people more freedom. Not sure if it's like completely open world, but I expect more levels like Seattle, which was my favorite part of The Last of Us Part 2, because that really was a next step for their types of games. And it's super interesting to see a studio that, you hold to very high regard, like Naughty Dog, try their hands at open world design, and how it just, there were so many cool moments in that open space that, were just super cool to experience, and how you could do them in any order, and it just made a lot of sense, and I want to see more of that. I think their approach to open world design with the narrative quality that they have is something that I think will help other open world games as well. So if they can, if they really can go crazy with that in their new IP, that would be exciting. So those would be the two games that I'm looking forward to the most this generation, from obviously the new Naughty Dog IP and the new Corey IP. And if they want to launch a new one every holiday season, I think we're looking at next year Ghost of Yotei. I mean, GTA 6, we will talk about that in a moment. Like, that is everyone is going to avoid that, so we will have to wait and see when Ghost of Yotei launches. I hope it's not close to GTA. But that will be, I think, the holiday title for that. And maybe holiday in 2025, because of GTA means early October. Then the year after that, I think it's Wolverine. So end of 2026. And then I think 2027, 2028. 2027 is the final year of the PS5 probably. 2028 would already be a PS6 launch title. I think 2027 would be Naughty Dog's new IP. And then maybe Corey's game is like a launch game, PS6 or something. In terms of like the big AAA titles, what else do we have? I think that then you have all the big games. Again, Guerrilla Games is going to do Horizon Online. I think Horizon 3 will be launch year of the PS6, while still being cross-gen, of course. Sony Band will do a live service game, the Days Gone team. So we'll have to wait and see what that is. The God of War remasters, remakes. Hey, Gipsy boy, I really think that we should not hold any. I would love for those games to be remastered, remade in like a trilogy. So, of course, the Greek trilogy. But I don't think they're gonna do that. I really think Sony, looking at what they're doing right now with their let's make everything into a movie or TV show. I think I said this last week as well, but it would be kind of weird to put a spotlight again on the Greek saga while they're building with the Amazon TV show, with Ragnarok doing super well and the 2018 remake as well. I don't know if it's smart of them to create two sort of places for God of War again, where maybe at one point when they are kind of done with this type of God of War game. I don't know. I think it would be kind of chaotic and kind of not help them focus on this is God of War right now. So we will see. I just don't believe that particular rumor just yet. There has been no particular very credible rumor, I would say, or credible leaker has talked about that being the case. But I hope it's true. We will see. Okay, let's continue. You're watching the Nintendo Direct for the Super Nintendo World? No, I think it's focused on the Donkey Kong thing, right? Okay, Dennis, if you're watching, we're going a bit late already, but let's move on. Let's do the PS5 Pro a bit later, and I'm gonna talk about Hogwarts Legacy 2 right now. Let's close this, and then go to this. Because yes, Hogwarts Legacy 2 once again confirmed by Warner Bros. This comes in this article from Variety. Let's see, priority. So basically what they're saying here is, we're gonna, and then I'm gonna kind of talk about some new info as well, and I'm gonna call in Dennis, who has way more Harry Potter knowledge than me. Like, I, of course, watched everything. I love the game. He read the books as well and all that stuff, so I think it's gonna be interesting to hear what he has to say. Let's first talk about all the news and the DLC rumors, and then see what we all think. Of course, if you have any input for what you think Hogwarts Legacy 2 is going to be about, drop it in the comments or in the chat. So here, at Warner Bros. Games, they're at work on the video game sequel to Hogwarts Legacy, which a very big priority for Warner Bros. Discovery's C-suite. And, like, they, I don't think, would have been talking about this sequel weren't for the fact that they are losing money on their games division big time. They talked about taking another $100 million loss because Multiverses is just not doing well. They relaunched it this year. It had a big peak, like more than 100,000 players on Steam. If you look at it now, it's like a few thousand. That game is sadly dead. And I think that's always with, like, for example, if Sony would bring back Concord, you cannot turn something that people just are not really, like, digging into something that works. Although, to be fair, more people were interested in Multiverses. They just were not able to, keep the interest of people. So yeah, things are not looking great. Suicide Squad, of course, earlier this year also wasn't really a surefire hit. Took a 200 million loss on that. So that's why they're already talking about. The sequel here. They're like, but don't worry, investors. We have Hogwarts Legacy 2, and of course, the first game now sold 30 million units, which is insane. So now, they also says that the game team has been coordinating some of the big picture storytelling elements in the Hogwarts Legacy sequel with the storylines that will play out in the Harry Potter HBO series, coming from Warner Bros. Television. This is kind of interesting because we know that it's really a Harry Potter HBO series. They're gonna do a retelling of the 7 books, and they're recasting like Harry and Hermione and all these characters. They have to be around the 9 to 11, and I was like, that seems very young, but that's of course how young these people were also when they started. So, very interesting. They're starting filming next year, and the show should launch in 2026. I think it's probably at the end of 2026, get around that Christmas feel, right? I think that would make sense for them, but we'll have to wait and see. If that means that the game will be out around 2026, if Warner could wave like a magic wand, I'm sure they wanted that, but I would be shocked because we also know, thanks to Insider Gaming, that an Hogwarts Legacy Definitive Edition is in development. Let's go here. Insider Gaming understands that a Hogwarts Legacy Definitive Edition is in development. Its content will also be sold as a separate DLC for those with the existing game. Again, 30 million units sold. So yeah, many have them already. I would be shocked if people... I mean, there are probably going to be people who will jump in with this Definitive Edition, but I think the DLC will mostly be sold separately. It should have around the... Let's zoom in a bit. 10 to 15 hours of additional content with a new story quest, side quest, activities, and outfits. And yeah, the price is still in flux. Probably around the $30 if I had to bet. This 10 to 15 hours sounds around that ballpark. I mean, Elden Ring was of course 40, but for example, the Cyberpunk DLC was 30. I think they're probably going for 30 if I had to bet. But yeah, they're working on that. Not alone though. Because we also learned earlier already, thanks to Bloomberg, that Jason Schreier's talking about behind the Suicide Squad, this year's biggest video game flop. I think Concord is actually the bigger flop right now. Sure, they took a 200 million loss, but Concord probably was like an even worse flop. So that's kind of crazy that Concord... because that game was like 200 million to develop as well. They, of course, made zero money on it. And, they bought the studio, which was not even in the 200 million number. Either way, many of the studio's employees, so at Rocksteady, are now helping to develop a new director's cut version of Hogwarts Legacy. So, yeah, the people inside Suicide Squad, at one point it was like, okay, the Suicide Squad, it's not going to happen. We still have, or like, it's not working out. We still have this roadmap announced for 4 seasons. So, yeah, we will kind of have to go through with that. Otherwise, I don't think people will like it. Maybe they would be like, people could take legal action or something. Because they really, when you finish Suicide Squad, it was like, and more is to come. And they could already see teasers for these characters and the sort of content they were going to plan. I do think that's like probably something that Warner and other companies just won't do anymore. Just don't announce a full year of content when you don't know if the game is doing well, unless you see like insane high pre-orders or something. Either way, the whole point is that if they're gonna launch DLC next year, because that's what Insider Gaming is reporting, then there are people inside Avalanche also working on the DLC, so not on the sequel. Sure, a lot of people probably started working on the sequel immediately in 2022 after Hogwarts Legacy 1 came out. Still, I think like 2026 is way too ambitious. That would be 3.5 years probably after Hogwarts Legacy 1. I think end of 2027 would make more sense. Maybe you then already have season 2 of the show or something, I don't know, but interesting stuff nevertheless. And then I want to call in Dennis. Let's do that. We're gonna do it through this. Because I'm curious to hear, again, basically they are already saying what the, what the whole, or they're teasing what the second game will already be about by saying that they're coordinating with the, with the TV show, and that there will be some story like big picture storytelling elements in the Hogwarts Legacy sequel with the storylines that will play out in the HBO series. So I think that already kind of teases the timeline and connections we can expect, while of course Hogwarts Legacy was like 100 years, if I'm not mistaken, right, Dennis, before Harry Potter?
I don't know if it was exactly 100 years, but
like
it was a
1800
long time
something. So
before it. I think you are right. Like we'll round about 100-year difference. Also, hello everyone.
Hey,
Uh,
thanks for joining. I
Thanks
wanted
for having me.
to hear your thoughts on what you think this could mean. So the big picture storytelling elements in Hogwarts Legacy sequel, that they are kind of like coordinating them with some of the storylines that will play out in the Harry Potter HBO series.
Yeah, I think the key word here is coordinating. Because when I read this at first, I feared the worst, because it feels in some way like they. Because I assume you already talked about the whole it's tying into the HBO series, and that's going to be a retelling of the books. So we're getting
Yes.
Harry, Ron, and Hermione again. Awesome. So the most logical thing to do would then to make the games about the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm personally not too excited about that. But there are other options, and that's why I think they're using the word coordinating is interesting, because it might also mean that it's not the entire story that needs to line up, but that there are some plot points from Hogwarts Legacy 2, if it's even going to be called that. But for now, let's just assume Hogwarts Legacy 2. That there are some story beats in that game that need to line up with story beats from the HBO series. And I think one thing they could do that would make a lot of sense is like make a sort of Voldemort themed prequel. So maybe you're at school in the years that Voldemort is there, because that would need to be something that they'd line up with the show. Um, and I think in general, like if you look at massive franchises like Star Wars, like Lord of the Rings, like Harry Potter, is they're trying to tie everything back to this main story, right? Even though you got like a giant world and we could go to different wizarding schools, it all ties back to the story of Harry versus Voldemort. So Voldemort is definitely a big part of that story that we could use some extra context and some extra background information for. But another one, and actually I forgot. I just remembered this because otherwise I would have mentioned it for the research for the Sunday vid as well. But there is another option, and that's another one that actually lines up with the research we did for Hogwarts Legacy, because there is a third very important person in the story of Harry Potter, and that's of course Dumbledore. And if I remember correctly, we did research on this, and your last year as like the student you play in the first Hogwarts Legacy, your last year at Hogwarts would be Dumbledore's first. So
Yeah.
that could also be a potential connection tie-in. And of course, if they are giving extra depth and background to Dumbledore's story, you would want to incorporate that in the series where he is the headmaster of Hogwarts. So again, I think there are a lot of options on things they could do, because again they're talking about coordinating the story. I just hope it's not like, because we already have PS1 Hagrid and that's perfection. We don't need to touch that. So I hope they're not just doing a retelling of the
Yeah.
book, both in series and in the game. I hope they're doing something different that somehow connects back to
Yeah, because
the
I
series.
think Hogwarts Legacy worked really great because they had a lot of freedom in how they wanted to tell their part, their
Yeah,
history of the
exactly.
Hogwarts, and it's of course like Harry Potter has a fascinating story, but we just kind of moved away from the movie games where they are a retelling, and yeah, we've just seen that it doesn't really matter. Like what they basically want is that people go watch the series and then go play the game, and to have some sort of connection, of course, between the two. And I
Hmm.
think that is, yeah, a good idea. But what we've seen with all these TV shows and all these games is that it actually works better if the show, like if the game is just set in the same universe, that's already enough, and again works actually
Yeah,
better.
like
Like,
Fallout, for example,
yeah,
where it was
or
like a
Witcher.
completely different story, but it was set in the same universe.
Yeah, exactly, and of course for The Witcher that was the case as well, and
Hmm.
like I think actually The Last of Us is less fun because you're basically beat for beat replaying that TV show, so you already kind of know the twists and turns and everything. So
Yeah, so either you watch the TV show and you're spoiling the game, or you're playing the game and you're spoiling the TV show, but
yeah,
there's no way around it. Yeah,
Cyberpunk is another example, of course, with the anime that, of course, did very well, and then people jumped
yeah,
into Cyberpunk. Like people just want to exist in that world, and the video games are able to provide that experience. So I hope they understand that instead of forcing in some sort of, like, I can see the C-suite, because again, Warner is desperate right now. I can see them be okay. We wanna, yeah, get as much synergy possible, and we have these huge franchises. Let's make it work. While Hogwarts Legacy worked because they got a ton of freedom and they were kind of left alone by other like tentacles from this huge corporation. So we will have to wait and see. But yeah, thanks for the insights. I mean, I hope it's like one of the two things you mentioned, because and actually, if it's like the Dumbledore part, then they could stay way closer to, because then you could still have characters
yeah. It
from part one
it
in
could
this
be a
game as
direct
well.
sequel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I still hope for because that's why I'm like, okay, they're still gonna do DLC, but if the sequel is then also very close to, to the first game, I'm kind of like, okay, but why didn't we go to a different school, right? That would have always been my kind of dream game, where they would leave Hogwarts behind and finally shed some light on what is it like to go to a different wizarding school in a completely different country. But seems like that's at least not what's gonna happen.
yeah. No, I absolutely agree. That's the more interesting thing they could do. But if you look at, there's another quote like later in the article that kind of also had me concerned, where one of the people from Warner compares it to like how many different people have played Batman, saying he hopes in times fans will wind up asking one another, what Harry are you? And I'm like, let's not do that, man. Not for the game at very least.
Yeah,
But I don't.
the Dark Knight has remained a cool character for more than 75 years. How many different Batmans are there? He says in time he hopes fans will be wind up asking one another, "What Harry are you?"
Yeah. Are you Hogwarts Legacy too, Harry Potter? Because I hope that's not going to be a thing.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
but
yeah,
it does kind of worry me that they're banking so hard on
Harry.
specifically Harry Potter, because I think there are a ton of interesting things about the Wizarding World. I don't think Harry Potter is the most interesting one of them. I think there are far more interesting topics and locations and stories to revisit than constantly doing this one. But we'll
Yeah.
have to wait and see.
Yeah,
Because
we totally have to wait and see, but this is where really what happens when you are kind of like you want to play it safe and then you just go back to
yeah,
what
exactly.
worked, and I hope that they realize that. I mean, Hogwarts Legacy still sold 40 million. It's
Yeah,
crazy. That's a huge
and we
success.
only got Harry's glasses in the summer DLC. What, a year
Yeah,
later? It
exactly.
doesn't matter. You could leave him out. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, thanks Dennis for joining, and yeah, I will look at the chat for a bit and then move on to different topics. So take care, and
Will do. Thanks for having me
we will hear
again.
you
And
later.
yeah, bye.
Bye bye. Okay, I saw some people say we don't see Dennis. Yeah, that would be a thing for next time to show him as well. I know, but I thought it was like easier to do it like this. But yeah, let us play when Voldemort was a student, says Joseph. That would be a cool one. Yeah, for sure. That would be very interesting, and I think make the most sense with like a tie-in to that story. I think Dumbledore would be kind of less exciting. Um, Dennis is actually under your chair. He isn't connected online to live. Did you really think he was connecting live? No. Dennis, you can leave. He yeah got under the table now, and I will kick him out after the stream. I'm surprised Suicide Squad did not come to PS Plus or Game Pass. Robo Wizzo. Yeah. At one point it will. It totally will. But maybe after they launch like the offline mode or something. Like by the end of the year, we will probably be at the end of the Suicide Squad. Yeah, post launch, and then I would not be surprised if they will try a complete edition with an offline mode, and then yeah, they have all the seasons in one package, and then try and sell that, and then they will take some money from Microsoft and Sony, because it will be a great PS Plus game to just at least play through that 10-hour campaign. I think that's more than worth your time. Okay, now we have some other news as well, and I want to stay in the actually in the Warner Bros. Area for a bit, because let's see. Okay, there we go. Monolith, the developer of Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor, they finally put their next game, Wonder Woman, on their official website. We see it right here. It's like looping the teaser trailer. Do we all remember this? This was Game Awards 2021. Finally, Shadow of War came out in 2017. At the same time as Assassin's Creed Origins. At that time, we had Odyssey, Valhalla, Mirage, and we're getting Shadows in like a few months. Still, we have not heard anything about this game. We do have some info on it, but yeah, them finally updating, of course, their website is good news, I think. It might mean that they are finally going to talk more about it. So, they already had some official info on their website before this. So, let's quickly go over that. In development by Monolith Productions, creator of the critically acclaimed Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor and the sequel Middle-earth Shadow of War. I love how they say critically acclaimed Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor and the sequel. I mean, I liked Shadow of War way more than Shadow of Mordor, but yeah, it was not critically acclaimed because they were stupid enough to force the loot boxes in. Oh man, like take me 2017 when everyone was like trying loot boxes even in single player games. Damn. So yeah, the Wonder Woman game is a single player open world action game. Will introduce an original story set in the DC universe and allow players to become Diana of Themyscira, I think, right? I always forget how to properly pronounce that. In the fight to unite her Amazon family and the humans from the modern world. Powered by the Nemesis system. Like, that's, of course, the crazy part. That they, of course, I think, kind of have the patent on it. So other people cannot use that amazing... Like, the Nemesis system is... Like, it's so far ahead of other games. And it's kind of what AI is kind of becoming now. Like, that was already... That these enemies felt, like, alive. They remembered your interactions. Did you, like, burn them? Then they still had scars. And they were like, oh, I'm gonna get revenge. Or if they killed you, they will talk about that as well. I love the system. And every game that has it, I at least want to try it out. And even if Wonder Woman is maybe not my, like, favorite series ever or whatever, I do think it's could be really cool in this setting. Gamers will forge deep connections with both enemies and allies. So I do think that's like an interesting point. Seems like they will be expanding because, of course, in Shadow of War, it was really focused on making your own, like, army of orcs. So that is, like, probably one of the new things they're trying. That, yeah, your allies will be, really into the Nemesis system as well. As they progress from a heroic fighter into a proven leader. I think this sounds pretty awesome. Actually, it looks pretty awesome too. Oh, of course, this is on the DC Cinematics Reddit. We had some concept art that appeared. Of course, it's concept art. It's not like what the game will actually look like, but I do think it looks pretty awesome. The quality is not great, but yeah, we see, of course, the lasso here that she will be using. Next to humanoid enemies, we will, of course, be fighting creatures as well. I mean, the world can look stunning in this game. Next gen only, current gen only, I should say. And we got some better look at the... Like, it's gonna be... Like, that was kind of my... And that's why I liked Shadow of War more. Is that they actually had more diverse locations. I just never really liked the sort of brown, gray Mordor area. And seeing, like, more, like, snow, I think, was in Shadow of War as well. This is the complete opposite. It's kind of like Guerrilla going from Killzone to Horizon, right? They can finally go way more colorful. And I do think this looks promising, at least. So, let's see what else we have. Because it's not all, like, positive, though. 5 months ago, we had Greg Miller on a podcast saying that the Wonder Woman game by Monolith is in a troubled state, according to an insider source. And I don't think we actually had to hear this from him to kind of probably think that, because why is it taking so long, right? 2017 was when Shadow of War came out. Sure, they did some DLCs as well, but say they started in 2019, early 2019, after all the DLCs were out. That's still like 5 years. They announced it in 2021. Now, when they announced it, it was probably... Maybe they were doing something else. Like, we know, for example, Warner Bros. Montreal, who, of course, did Arkham Origins. They were toying around with a Suicide Squad game first. Then, of course, that did not work out. Then they started working on Gotham Knights. Maybe that was the case for Monolith as well. They were doing something else before they settled on Wonder Woman. Still... Again, I hope the Game Awards trailer is released and then we see the game and it's like, okay, and it's coming out very soon. That's what Warner usually does. That would be really awesome. Like, this has to launch in 2025, right? Otherwise, it's like 8 years later. That's crazy. And Greg Miller, that's also worth noting. He did say, though, that every game kind of goes through their troubled, like, period, and some games just come together at the end. So it's not like a uncommon thing for a game to be in a troubled state. Of course, it might be worse than the typical game development cycle, and looking at the time that it takes them to make this game, you could argue that that's probably the case. We also had this news, because that's, of course, again, We know the Rocksteady is helping with the Hogwarts Legacy DLC. Gotham Knights developers are helping on Wonder Woman. So it really seems, and they want to do that more and more, that the Warner Bros. Games division is also, making sure that their studios are helping with more imminent things. Like Wonder Woman, if you think about it, is probably the next big Warner Bros. Game, right? After that, it's gonna be Hogwarts Legacy 2. We know NetherRealm, of course, did Mortal Kombat 0 or 1. They will be off the board for a long time. They won't have their next game ready for a long time. And they are still doing DLC, of course. Rocksteady will also take a very long time. We did learn, though, that they are maybe doing an Arkham Asylum remake. So that is interesting. Like, they will probably need 2 years for that, I would say. Or maybe 3 years, tops. Still, though, this game is going to be next. And after that, they will have a huge gap. But because after Wonder Woman, again, Rocksteady, Warner Bros. Montreal, they did Gotham Knights. Again, they are helping here as well. They are probably doing another DC game. That will be a long time. Gotham Knights was 2022, right? So, yeah, that they are still very early as well. So, yeah, it's gonna be this, and then maybe Hogwarts Legacy 2 as the game they will launch after that, which is crazy. But they need this to succeed for sure, and I hope it does. I hope it does. Now we also have another interesting wrinkle to this story, and that is Cliffhanger Games. Kind of, let's see. It kind of like came to my mind here. Let's see, because I do think if we have like kind of a Cliffhanger and a Monolith, because actually some people here do we have a Monolith? Yeah, because actually some people also left Monolith. Cliffhanger Games, a new EA studio developing a single-player action-adventure game based on Marvel's Black Panther. Blah, blah, blah. Led by Kevin Stevens, Monolith Productions. So basically, a very, like, a higher-up person at Monolith left to create their own studio. Probably brought some Monolith developers with him as well to work on the Black Panther game. So I'm curious who is still left at Monolith to make this Wonder Woman game, but I'm hoping for the best. Here, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, along with veterans from top franchises. So, like, I have high hopes for this Black Panther game. I really hope it delivers. But, yeah, first we get Wonder Woman. I'm curious to hear what you, of course, think about it. Rocksteady is now a support studio. Again, after they, of course, launched Suicide Squad, which did not go well, they have a team that is still doing the post-launch that they already promised for that game. Then they have, like, of course, their plan was, before Suicide Squad came out, we're all gonna keep supporting Suicide Squad because it's gonna do well and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, that did not happen. So then at one point, you're like, okay, we did promise a lot of content. What is what can we make work here? Like, what's the bare minimum of people that we need to at least fulfill our promise? And then you suddenly have maybe 70% of the studio who's like, and what are we going to do? They did lay off some QA people, sadly, but yeah, they did not have any work for them because they did not need as many people testing Suicide Squad content as they initially thought. So then they were like, okay, more imminent, we have Hogwarts Legacy DLC. Okay, you go work on that. And then, of course, they also have to think of the future. What's the future of Rocksteady? And yeah, going back to single-player games makes sense. A new Batman game makes sense. But yeah, let's get some, like, money first. And that's where I think the Arkham Asylum remake is probably coming from, because that seems like a pretty safe bet. That game did not age as well as the other titles. Maybe a lot of newer gamers never played it, while it's, of course, brilliant. So I think that makes sense. Gotham Knights was a joke, just like Marvel's Avengers. I don't know, like... Okay, I'm gonna quickly grab it. I do think there were some parts about Gotham Knights that were actually kind of cool. And sure, it has many issues. It totally did. But I do think, for one, this statue is pretty awesome. So that's why I got it. But also, it had some like cool, the villain arcs were kind of cool. And yeah, those boss fights were pretty nice. The characters did play pretty different. I think they had some cool ideas. It just didn't come together. And 30 FPS on console, that was of course not great. The traversal was not great. The city wasn't really great. But I came in with pretty low expectations. I thought the story and some of the things that we did, I thought this maybe the main... I never thought, like before, when Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad were announced, I really thought, okay, Suicide Squad, Rocksteady, that's gonna be way better than Gotham Knights. But no, I actually think, and that's not maybe saying a lot, but I think that Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad are way closer to each other in quality than we initially thought. And I would maybe recommend more people check out Gotham Knights than Suicide Squad. If you never played Gotham Knights and you can get it for cheap, and maybe it's on a Game Pass or something, I think it's worth it. I had a good time with it. But I totally remember doing that review, and if you like something these days, people will be like... If you're not like part of the public opinion on a game that people are forming before they even played it, then yeah, you're a shill if you're too positive about it and you don't know what you're talking about if you're more negative than the public opinion thinks the game should be, if that makes sense. Got it for free in the PS Store. Well, that's a sweet deal. That's a sweet deal. Gotham Knights is what people think Spider-Man 2 is. Jojo, what? Spider-Man 2, totally a way better game. Although I did have my critiques, let's put it that way. So yeah, I think Wonder Woman, that's kind of where we of course talked about. I really have high hopes. Or maybe I should not say high hopes. But I just want to see it. I think it could be really cool. And I'm seeing way more excitement for it every time I like tweet about it or talk about it than I thought there would be. So I do think if they knock this out of the park, it could be actually really cool. So I actually hope that they got the stuff. And more open world games are always better. And the Nemesis system. Come on. We want that Nemesis system. Finally back. Current gen only. I really hope the game looks great. So yeah. Let me, of course, know what you want to see in the Wonder Woman game in the comments. And subscribe. Okay. I got some other topics before we move on here. Let me know in the chat. Should we talk GTA 6 and kind of the 2025 release situation or the PS5 Pro? I'm going to quickly look at the chat and see... The way they treat Gotham as an extension to the story instead of just another city was something I really appreciated. But it has its flaws, of course, talking about Gotham Knights here, Giro Spot. Nothing that would determine me from recommending the game to Batman fans. Yeah, again, I think Gotham Knights, if you can get it for free, yeah, you will probably be... Okay, I see way more people say GTA. That's interesting. Let's go over that. Let's go over that then. And then we can talk some PS5 Pro. And thanks everyone for joining this new thing that we're doing here. Hope you have a good time. And yeah, I want to make this a returning thing. So would be cool to have you every week. Damn, I should... I'm just kind of completely against ad blockers because... Like, my business is also ads, right, on YouTube and stuff. But this is crazy. Look at this. This is the freaking... I'm only getting these, like, most realistic game of 2024. It's not even the game. It's not even the game. Okay, let's talk GTA. I think this is actually kind of funny. Let's start here. I thought I had some of those. It's so crazy to me. You will see what I'm talking about in a moment. Oh. Whoop. Okay, I wanna... Let's see if I can let go here. I want to start with this. So, someone in the comments under the Sunday video said Rockstar Games never has said GTA 6 in 2025. And I don't know if they seem like very well up to date on the game. But I'm not sure if they watched the trailer. But it starts with coming 2025. Or it is actually the end. So, yes, they said 2025. Which is crazy. So, I don't know why people... I actually got multiple comments that were kind of saying that. Which was kind of crazy to me. Oh, wait. This is a different one. But yeah, we basically got this week another confirmation that... So yeah, we basically got this week another confirmation that GTA 6 is still on track to release in 2025, in fall 2025, which would of course be October, November. That's probably what they want to aim for. And yeah, we will see. I think it's interesting to always remind you of this. Kotaku did an article where they basically looked at all the Rockstar game delays. And these two are, of course, the big ones. GTA 4, 6 months delay. GTA 5, 6 months delay as well. Red Dead was even a year. And with Red Dead, they even were delayed it first to the spring of 2018. And then, of course, they delayed it to fall 2018. And the Max Payne, damn, that's also a big delay here. LA Noire, 3 years. Love LA Noire, by the way. But yeah, I think it's... Sure, the Take-Two is always going to say, hey, it's still on track. But yeah, maybe right now. Things can, of course, change in a year. I'm not saying that it's gonna get delayed, but I do think it's worth it to keep that in mind, that we will maybe not be playing GTA 6 at the end of next year. But I do think it's gonna be very interesting. Like, what they're already saying right here is... So yeah, Take-Two, of course, the umbrella publisher. And then you have Rockstar Games and 2K. And 2K already said, let's go over here first. 2025 is going to be big. Borderlands 4, Mafia, Civilization 6. And we already know Civilization is, of course, in February. So yeah, Borderlands 4 Mafia will still be out in the same year as GTA 6. So this publisher is gonna launch like 3 major titles that are kind of competing for the same audience, especially Mafia and GTA, of course, that are going to launch in the same year. What they already said though is interesting, is that Borderlands 4 will not release close to GTA 6. So that makes sense, of course, to not launch your two games close to each other, but what does that mean? Does that mean spring? Or, because I think this also immediately says to me that they will not launch Mafia close to Borderlands and GTA 6. So there are not a lot of spaces left for these games. But overall, what I think is going to be very interesting next year, what I overall think is going to be very interesting next year is that a lot of companies are going to stay away from, or like delay their release date announcements until we get a GTA 6 release date. We know about maybe a new Battlefield. Of course, Call of Duty will have a new game. Assassin's Creed is seemingly doing the Black Flag remake in November next year. Sony might do Ghost of Yotei. We have Xbox with Fable. Many of these games are probably launching in the final months of the year. But it's of course a dead sentence if you're gonna launch your game next to GTA 6. I think actually 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after you don't want to be. Maybe even a month after if you can. Because of course what they always do is they launch the single player and then 2 weeks or so later GTA Online. Whatever they will end up calling it for GTA 6. Like, launching your game around that is just a dead sentence. Even if you are something like, I don't know, Flight Simulator. A completely different game for a different audience. Everyone and their mom will be focused on this one game. And also, content creators, websites, the whole TikTok page. Like, it's all going to be GTA 6. This is really going to be the biggest entertainment launch in our lifetime so far. The trailer, of course, got like insane records. What is the current number, actually? I haven't checked in a while. 218 million. That's insane. As we see right here. That's actually insane. And it's also been like 11 months since we got this trailer. Let me know in the chat if you still think we're gonna get the second trailer before the end of the year. But yeah, we got it. Like, I think it would be wild if we go a year without a new trailer. That would be kind of wild. But then, this trailer was insane, of course. But they don't have to, of course. Like, times have also changed. They can be quiet and like drop a new trailer 1 month before release, and it would not hurt them whatsoever. But I do think it would be smart of them to remind people, because I do think what they are saying is that GTA 5 and GTA Online are doing way better than they thought, because people are also getting hyped for GTA 6. It will also be interesting to see how they're going to, push people from one GTA Online platform to the other. Maybe it won't be the 2-week sort of release cadence. Maybe they will give the single player more time to breathe before they launch the GTA Online server. We will see. I feel like trailer 2 in December would be likely, yeah. Of course, not at Game Awards. Like that's also not what they did. When was it again that this trailer dropped? December 5th, yeah. And of course it was leaked. That was crazy. Like someone hacked a Rockstar employee and dropped the trailer like in very poor quality, and then they were forced to because they, or it wasn't like a YouTube employee. I don't know what the gist of this was, but I remember having like a countdown timer set for this trailer where I was gonna watch it with you live, and then in like a few, like 24 hours or even like 12 hours before that, it already was leaked, and they just dropped the trailer because people were sharing this very ugly looking footage around, so they were like, let's get ahead of it. It was an 11-year-old kid who leaked it. Yeah, that's crazy. GTA will sell with the buckets even without marketing, of course, but imagine how much it will do with marketing. Like, what is the ceiling going to be for this game? I especially think that Sony and Microsoft has to get their act together with the Xbox, because they're of course in kind of a dire situation right now where they're selling less and less of these boxes because people are like, why would I get an Xbox? I can, like, a lot of those games are coming to PlayStation, seemingly at least, and yeah, there are rumblings that more and more will come. I can play these games on PC already. There's just not a big incentive versus a PlayStation, where you do know if you want to play those big Sony games, you have to get a PlayStation. Otherwise, you have to wait like for a year and a half or something. I think we are not ready for this game. Like, even if, yeah, I don't think you can put into words how big this is going to be. And I think this is going to be a great moment and a really important moment for the games industry as well, where it feels right now, and maybe I'm kind of like talking from my bubble, but it feels that we haven't had like a huge, like a Pokemon Go moment or something, right? This is reaching far beyond our sort of circle moments with a game. And where even people that never, like, that have not touched a controller in like a few years, they're probably going to be curious about this. They're gonna, what is this, right? Right now, we really see only, there's so much entertainment out there. Only people that are not really in the know or up to date, they are only cherry picking. I'm gonna watch this HBO series because I heard good things about it. Arcane is back on Netflix. Okay, I'm gonna get Netflix again. For gaming, they are probably like we have the Call of Duty every year, the EA Sports FC. Those games are probably mostly getting lapsed players back. I don't think they're bringing a lot of completely new gamers in. GTA 6 might be different. It's gonna be crazy. We need a new Doom trailer at the Game Awards. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are many 2025 games. Again, that's what I'm saying. Like, 2025 is gonna be crazy in terms of there are so, like, it's looking like a 2023, but in 2023 we did not have this game. Like, we did not have a GTA 6 moment where like everyone was kind of competing on the same level. Sure, some games were bigger than others, but this is gonna eat everyone's money and time and mind share. So you have this already a huge spot on a probably very lucrative spot on the calendar. Like, everyone usually wants to launch in October and November, because then during Black Friday you can slash the price a bit. Way more people that usually don't really buy games or something, they are looking at games because for Christmas presents or other kind of presents, and yeah, you want to have your game on the shelf or in the digital storefront around that time, have your marketing around that time. And GTA 6 is gonna probably be in that prime spot. So it's gonna be fascinating. But there, of course, what the Ubisoft CEO said as well, which I think is interesting, is that actually, wow, I'm connecting some dots live here. Wait, so Ubisoft CEO, I'm not sure if someone wrote an article about it. I listened to this in an investor call. Let me search it real quick. Ubisoft CEO, GTA 6 impact. Yeah, here. So this is, I thought, what was very interesting. So yeah, let's look at this. GTA 6 will help other games sell more, says Ubisoft. Say Ubisoft. What is this website? Ubisoft has told investors that GTA 6 will help sell more of their games rather than be a negative effect. Last night, the company shared financial reports and held a conference call going over the business past quarters and investors. yeah, some people were like, hey, should we be scared? GTA 6 next year? And Ubisoft actually says that it is a fair question. What we generally see when GTA comes to market is that more people come to play. Did he? Yeah, here. He goes on to say, Ubisoft saw very good sales, and even when the newer gen re-release came out, Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag just released 1 month after GTA 5 and is one of the best-selling games in the franchise. Damn, all these videos and ads. Crazy. Basically, what he's saying, and I think that's very interesting, is that, yeah, GTA 6, sure, is a big game, and it's taking a lot of air out of the room, but it also means there will be way more PlayStations sold and Xboxes and more people, yeah, just looking at gaming in general. And at one point they will be done with GTA 6 and they might be like, whoa, I missed out on all these amazing titles. Whoa, there's another new game out. Let's try that out. While they maybe would never have picked up the controller if it weren't for GTA 6. The interesting part is that Ubisoft is basically saying this also because Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag released 1 month after GTA 5. That is, by the way, not true. Black Flag launched... It's not... Maybe it was close to a month, but I don't think it was actually 1 month. I think it's a bit later. But yeah, what is the rumored game from Ubisoft? I said it already. In the year that GTA 6 is coming out. The Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag remake. So they basically want to repeat what they did. They want to launch Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag again next to a new GTA, which is kind of funny. Yeah, exactly, Gipsy boy, which is kind of funny. Yeah, Ubisoft should not be worried. They make a quadruple A games. GTA 6 is just a poor triple A game. Yeah, that game just cost 500 million, maybe more. Crazy part is GTA will make that back in the day. Like, what I think I looked at this before. GTA 5 sold one day. Here. Look at this. Oh wait, why am I'm so super zoomed in. Oh. Day one GTA 5 sales exceed $800 million worldwide. 11 years ago. 11 freaking years ago. I think Red Dead 2 did not sell as well. Red Dead 2, one day. Sales. So yeah, Red Dead 2, 725 million in the first 3 days. Highest ever pre-order day one sales and most sales in the first 3 days on PSN. Of course, remember when GTA 5 came out, PSN was not like people were not buying games that of that caliber on PSN. It was like the downloadable games, the smaller $20 games. But yeah, Red Dead 2 could not even... I mean, it makes sense, but that's still a lot of money. Like, we're 11 years, more than 11 years removed. When GTA 6 comes out, it will be 12 years. Like, how many billions is it gonna make day one, right? Because the gaming industry was not as big back then when GTA 5 came out. It was also, again, mostly... It was probably sold out. It was a physical launch, mostly. Now everyone can buy it. Everyone can play it day one. Unless PlayStation Network drops out or something. And I'm saying PlayStation Network because I think Xbox Live will be fine. But I do think it's gonna be this. It's gonna be that highest pre-order day one. Like the moment the GTA 6 pre-orders go live. Woo! Woo! 200 plus million sales is so crazy, yeah. 3 billion day one, says Alex. Damn. Yeah, right? That might totally happen. And like they can put so much money in that game because they will make it day one back. And that's the crazy part. The crazy part is because if you look at, I think they just sold 5 million units of GTA 5 in the last 3 months. I think GTA 5 now at sales. The last update we got is that it's now at 205 million sales. That's crazy. GTA 5 sold 205 million copies. So yeah, you would think, and of course it's a lot of double dipping. It's a lot of people that bought it multiple times, I know. But still, you would think that even if like 10% buys it day one, which is not weird, right, to say 10% of this number, 20 million day one, 20 million times 80 or 70, what they're gonna charge. Let's do a quick calculation. Of course, I know they're not taking everything from it, but like 70. $1.4. No, this is an insane amount. Again, like I'm not sure. Do they usually say revenue, and then they divide the cut? Hey, Brock, thanks for joining. It's like a 1.4 trillion. You forgot a zero. Okay. Damn. Okay. Plus, you gotta consider deluxe editions. There's not gonna be a $70 game, at least 80. They can get away with it. It will be crazy. It will. My point is, even if that calculation was wrong, it's gonna be crazy. I think 10% of 205 million might happen. I mean, even Black Myth Wukong sold 18 million in 2 weeks. That's, of course, it's mostly China. But if that game can reach 18 million in 2 weeks, what is GTA 6 ceiling? So yeah, that was kind of the segment on GTA. I think it's going to be fascinating to watch that. And we will, of course, be following it here in the Sunday videos and also in this stream. Then I had another quick topic that I wanted to go over, and that is kind of a funny one. Let's see. We first have this comment. Let's go here. Sony better make sure the PS5 Pro doesn't have another stock shortage disaster like the PS5 did. Well, actually, lack of PS5 Pro shortages means some scalpers are reselling at a loss. We won! The scalpers are losing money. Yes. I think I even have like an eBay here up. Let's take a look. It is in pound sterling, but still. It's like 800. It's like 700 pounds. 800 pounds, right? Let's see. Yeah, it's 700 pounds. So they're selling it at a loss. This is... Oh! Good stuff. Eat that. Like they're... They can't get rid of it. They can't get rid of it. Of course, the anniversary is still being sold at like a huge... That's crazy. It was like 1,300, I think. That's crazy. It's gonna go down at one point. Because you can just go to PlayStation Direct and buy like a new one. But yeah, then you pay 700 and now you have to trust this person on eBay to send it to you. But yeah, the thing is, like, they still gotta win. So it's not like a 100% victory for us consumers who just want a fair price and not scalpers, like, buying up everything and then selling it at a way higher price. But of course, they still gotta win with the disc drive. Sony, of course, did not include it in the PS5 Pro box. So the scalpers were smart. They bought up all the disc drives that were available and are now selling it for that is like £50 more, so that's not a lot more. Okay, this is already getting higher, so yeah. They are still making some money, but they're losing a lot on the PS5 Pro, which is good to see. And yeah, I'm happy that they, because again here Sony is saying PS5 Pro has not had a negative impact on the sales of the console. Hardcore users are the target of this hardware, says the CEO of the PlayStation hardware, Hiroki Totoki. And like, they're still selling even more, I think, than the PS4 Pro at this point. Let's see, I think they said that. Maybe not in this article, but I think I saw somewhere that they were saying that the PS4 Pro, that it was at least doing well, and the price did not really have an impact. I mean, of course, the people that want the machine are gonna buy it day one. I think it will be way more interesting to see what is the tail of this machine, right? Will people that, like, you have your hardcore fans are gonna buy it anyways, they will buy it day one. But what do the sales look like in January or a few months later? So we'll have to wait and see. But again, it's not because the PS5 Pro is just not selling very well that there are not a lot of them, or that there are still a lot of them available. Sony just really managed this correctly and made a lot of these, which is just really nice. What is interesting, by the way, and that's kind of something I should have maybe read on, like, here. Of course, this list. So here, I was reading this article, and here they were like, okay, these are the 50 plus enhanced games available at the launch on November 7th. I, of course, was testing the PS5 Pro a bit before it, but many updates were already live. Not everything, though. So I looked at this list, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna look at the games where I'm just mostly curious about. And one of them was Assassin's Creed Mirage, and the other one was God of War Ragnarok. So as I did my video, I do not notice anything. Turned out the updates were not live yet for those games. Felt kind of stupid about that, so we're gonna rectify it. Sumaya is saying, what is pro about the PS5 Pro? Is it used for work? I mean, I use it for work. Does that count? Thanks for your super chat, of course. Let's quickly move over here. If we can quickly go to this. I do think... Oh, hello. This is kind of weird. I wanna quickly go in game, because we do actually, we're gonna try it live. Okay, so let's move to the console. I know it will be kind of hard to see, but this is Mirage on the PS5 Pro. So just like Star Wars Outlaws, they removed the graphics modes. So yeah, you have just one way to play. First you had quality and performance, but now, yeah, it's just always 60 FPS and it looks way better. So I want to do like a comparison again, because we cannot really tweak that now. I can like go, okay, I can maybe go over here. It plays very well though, as you can see, but I'm not sure if no, we don't hear anything. Oh, I think we actually do. I can tell it looks good. Yeah, right? It looks very good. But it's just hard to know without comparing it. I want to try God of War as well. So I want to replicate one image that we can maybe check out. I still think it's not like a huge... It's not like a huge thing, I think. But let's leave it here. And then I can... It is like a bit darker though than the image we have. Let's see. I think it will be kind of hard to tell. But if I like do it like this. It's gonna be very hard. Again, it looks like a bit darker too. And that's of course that was like really one of the issues with doing the comparisons, where it was just very hard to get the same sunlight and stuff. See, it's like way darker. Ooh. Yeah, this is not a great comparison. Still, it looks pretty good, but the image looks pretty good too. So, I think we just have to kind of wait and see. I have to just go into the game and get some proper comparisons going. But I also downloaded the God of War update. And I heard from that they are actually... that they actually added a pro mode. So I do think it will be interesting to look at that, and then we can kind of see the comparisons. Then we can kind of see, hey, the pro mode looks better than the other modes that should still be available. My eyes can see more than 1080p, yeah. Streaming in 4K, maybe in the future. Imagine 5 years from now. It looks a tiny bit better. Yeah, the hidden creed. I agree. Okay, so we're over here in a new game plus save for God of War. Let's get a bit of like... Okay. So what did they add? Oh, okay. We got quite some new... Okay, so there's like a... So they wanna... So we can already... Of course, with the higher frame rate mode on, the game will look not as great. Okay, let's see. Or like, look, actually... Okay, let's go into the photo mode. Hide the UI. Do it like this. So this is the PS5 Pro enhanced mode. Okay. Let's see if I can like do this on the fly. Oh. Bloop. Where am I seeing? Probably because... Okay, and now I'm gonna change it to the other mode. So yeah, let's do actually performance, because that should be the biggest difference. So I made an image of the shot we just had. I don't think this is doing it any justice, but that's the best I can do right now, and I'm just curious myself as well. Spot the differences. I think the image is not doing it any justice. No. Okay, I will probably do this like in a proper way as well, so I can kind of rectify the mistake of thinking that the patches were already there while they weren't. But I mean, also with some games like God of War and Mirage, they already were pretty great. I think it's the console is mostly nice for if you for the games that sacrificed a lot of graphics for the 60 FPS, right? And yeah, there are more and more of those games that launched this year, and there will only be more and more of those games in the future. So Outlaws, I think, is a great example where the performance mode look pretty blurry. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and now with the PS5 Pro, that is enhanced. Like, you have the quality mode graphics with the performance mode. 60 FPS. So in that regard, I'm happy that the option is there. It's totally not for everyone. It's super expensive. I do think, of course, you can sell your base model. You should totally do that. So then, yeah, it's a bit easier, to maybe see yourself get one. Unless you, of course, bought a lot of games on disc. Then, yeah, you have to, spend a ton of extra money to be able to use those games on your new console, which, of course, sucks big time. But yeah, I'm having a great time with the PS5 Pro, and I want to keep testing the games and see what they improve over the PS5 version for future titles. But it's totally not needed. Again, I'm happy that options are always great, right? And the base PS5 is still fine. But if you don't want to sacrifice the graphics, if you have a huge TV where you can clearly see that the performance mode looks way worse, then I think the PS5 Pro is a nice option. Gave the base PS5 to my sister. Nice, Rocky. Yeah, I mean, if you can do it like that and got the money to get the PS5 Pro, get more people to play games, spread the love, and get yourself the new system. Of course, that's awesome too. Okay, that was the end of the stream. Hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time, and want to do this every week where we go over the recent Sunday news, go way more in depth than we can do in the Sunday video, answer questions from you, and insert them into the topics. And then, of course, you can also, if you're joining later, this video will be up on the Jorraptor channel, so I will be adding timestamps, so you can watch them if you want. But I will also be posting these as separate reaction type content on the second channel that I want to put more time into. So people who just want to watch a particular topic and miss the stream or something like that can still watch it. That's kind of the idea. Hope you enjoyed it, and was a ton of fun. Love the stream, but you need to interact more with the chat. Okay, Kino Man Sky, good. Appreciate that feedback. Yeah, if you got more feedback, of course, let me know. It's a great show. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, because I of course also want to make it as a yeah, it's like the combination of having it up as a video later, where I want to make sure that I go over each topic and look at all the news and share all the sort of info that we have about a certain topic first before I go in depth and ask the opinion from you, because maybe you're like, yeah, but this and this, and then I was about to get to that. So I do think that, yeah, but maybe I can make it more interactable, where in between the news stories I look at the chat, but sometimes I just want to finish my story first and then look at input. But of course we're going to try this as we go, and I think it's at least a fun thing to do as a returning thing. It was great. Thanks everyone. Like and subscribe. Yes, Steven, that would be great. 1 million is approaching. It's there in the distance. Close, I can almost taste it, but not quite there yet. We will get there soon though. Thanks for watching everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and goodbye.